everybody, and welcome to another edition of the GSM's Pride. My name is Zach. I'm usually behind the camera, but this week I actually went on vacation to Hawaii and did a really cool drive around Hawaii. It wasn't really something I had planned on doing. My fiance is the planner, so she planned this really incredible couple days of driving around the island of Hawaii, and luckily we just kind of happened into a Ford Mustang, and so that was interesting to me, and it was a really fun car to drive around the island. And I'll tell you, in the video, I've never been a Ford Mustang fan. I've never really kind of gotten the appeal of the Ford Mustang, so I get a really good chance to sit down and test that vehicle out and see what it's all about. And so I ended up comparing that car to a couple other cars that I both drove on Hawaii, and another vehicle that is moving the Mustang forward in general. And we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to take a driving vacation, and what it means to get to do those things in a world where electrification and autonomy are the forefront of a lot of automotive conversations right now. So sit back, enjoy the scenery, and I hope you enjoy it.
There it is, Honolulu, the most exotic city in the USA.
I don't know about you, but anytime somebody from the 1950s says the word exotic, I cringe a little bit. But Honolulu is a city. We were right off of the Waikiki beach, maybe 2 blocks back from the beach, and 2 blocks away from our rental car, which was incredibly convenient, as that was where we spent most of our time on this trip. Now, as I said in the beginning, I was never inherently a fan of a Mustang. I appreciate the old bodies of the 1950s and 1960s, and I appreciate what it is as part of an American muscle car culture, but I never really got the true feeling of what it is to drive a Mustang on a gorgeous open road like the ones we had in Hawaii. Now, I'm no stranger to driving beautiful highways. Melissa and I drove Highway 1 in 2015 or 2016, and that was an incredible journey, but we took a Dodge Charger that we had rented from San Francisco and drove it down to LA. And a Dodge Charger, while a fun vehicle, definitely doesn't have the same soul and feeling that this vehicle did. There's something about dropping the top in an American muscle car that instantly makes you feel more American, maybe? It almost feels like this is the way these roads were meant to be driven. We weren't driving fast. In fact, I would say I was probably under the speed limit most of the time because I was trying to take in all the incredible scenery from every angle. Hawaii is impossibly beautiful. And getting to take in the island in this particular vehicle was a real joy. So let's talk about the vehicle itself for just a minute. All right, hey guys, I'm back. This is an incredible botanical garden that I'm not even going to begin to try and say the name of because I know I'm not going to get it right. But I told you I was going to sit down and talk to you about this car. This vehicle we got purely out of coincidence. We just selected convertible from this local rental car place, and we got this Mustang, which I'm going to walk you around here in a second. But really fun car to drive on Hawaii because it is convertible, obviously. But if you look around in the background, wow, just incredible. And the windy roads that get you here, my goodness. I will admit, even working at a Ford dealership, I've never been a Mustang guy, especially old school Mustangs. They didn't really handle the way I wanted a car to handle. This vehicle is not old school Mustangs. So let me take you a quick walk around, and we'll see what it is. All right, so this girl's been around the block a couple times. She's got 88,000 miles on her, but I'm going to show you my favorite parts about this car. And I want to show you my parts that actually are my favorite about this car, because the outside of the car is great, but it's a Mustang. It's a beautiful blue Mustang, but it's a Mustang. But my favorite parts about this car are these switches down here, because these two control my drive mode and my steering mode. So that's what really makes this car fun for me. So we have
Sport Plus, which I spent a lot of time in when we're on those mountain roads, Track, which I've never really needed to get into, Drag Strip, and then we also have Snow and Wet, which I've actually been in a little bit because the roads have been incredibly wet. It's been raining a lot here since I've been in Hawaii, because I come to Hawaii and it rains. That's how things go. But we are in this incredible botanical garden, so I haven't had a chance to really drive in here because it's a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit. You really wouldn't want to go any faster than that. It would be great if they took all these speed humps out and just did like a time trial in here. It'd be a lot of fun. But this car has just been a blast to drive because of these incredible drive modes. I didn't, I guess, walk you through our steering modes. So we do have normal mode, we've got a sport mode, and then we've got a comfort mode. I've been in normal or sport the entire time. Comfort is not a thing that I like. I like to be able to feel the road, which is why I've always driven small hatchbacks, those types of things. I've driven a lot of Fords. Drove Ford Focuses my entire life, small hatchback cars that I could whip around corners and things. But this car has been great. I've got the Apple CarPlay, which has made Hawaii so much easier because the roads here are a little crazy and tough to work yourself through sometimes. I will say the problem with Hawaii and a convertible is my hair has not seen its best day, but I honestly cannot recommend convertible in Hawaii enough. I know it's not in everybody's budget, but we used a place called First Rental Car, and honestly, for the money, we got overnight parking, so we didn't have to figure out where we were going to park our car, and it was really convenient because it was like around the corner from where we were staying. But it's also just been a really great experience. I get to drop my car off at night. I get to pick it up in the morning. I never wait more than 5 or 10 minutes for my car ever, which it would take me to get in and out of a parking garage. They bring it directly up to the curb. Honestly, been an incredible experience. We even got upsold on the insurance that I didn't need, but even with the insurance and everything else, it was still cheaper than renting through one of the bigger budget places. So if you're in Hawaii and you need a recommendation, First Rental Car. I'm not making any money off of them, but I've had a really great experience with them, so I figure I'd give them a shout.
Now that was the first couple days. We went out and saw an incredible amount of the island. We saw a turtle wash up on the beach. We saw some incredible scenery, but the highlight really was driving around in the car. We originally had only rented the car for the first 4 days before the wedding, but realizing we had one extra day we could get out and see the island more, we quickly got a budget rental from the same rental company. This was our first mistake because we ended up with this abomination, which I said to Melissa feels like driving a marshmallow. For everything that the Mustang was driving around Hawaii, this was the exact opposite. It was lifeless. It was terrible to see out of, and it just felt bland. Everything about it made me hate driving it. And that made me consider the future a little bit, because technology is constantly driving us forward. Take, for example, the Mustang Mach-E. In a straight line, it still performs like a Mustang. However, at least right now, there's no convertible option, and many of the Mustang Mach-E's main features actually focus on taking some of the driving away from the driver versus giving more control to the driver. Not to say there aren't performance modes on the Mach-E, there certainly are, but systems like Ford's Copilot 360 and more advanced systems like Blue Cruise aim to take many of the minute-to-minute tasks of driving out of the driver's hands. And truthfully, I don't know how I feel about it, because on one hand, I love the idea that the vehicle could just drive me around Hawaii, top down, and I could see everything I wanted to see without having to worry about keeping my eyes on the road. But there's also something to be said about driving through this incredible tunnel that burrows through the center of a mountain and dropping it down 3 gears and hearing the rumble of the engine as we go through that tunnel. So what do we gain and what do we lose in an autonomous future where the vehicles start doing some of the more menial driving tasks for us? Do we lose out on that driving vacation that I so enjoyed on this Hawaii trip? The takeaway isn't that Hawaii is gorgeous. It is. And of course, if you have the opportunity to drive a convertible on Hawaii's islands, by all means, take that opportunity. But the real joy I found was getting to experience an incredible vehicle in incredible scenery. And that's not a thing that you necessarily have to go to Hawaii for. There are roads in Missouri that have just as much wind and twist and joy in them as any of these roads in Hawaii. Now, you're not going to see the same kind of mountains, but many of the rural highways in Missouri do have some incredible rock formations and rivers and things that you can look out on and still appreciate the beauty of the surroundings that you have. But my parting question to you is, how do you feel about the impending autonomous driving future? Do you feel like it's going to benefit you because you'll be able to ride on roads and get to appreciate the beauty without having to drive? Or do you feel like, as a person who enjoys cars, you'll miss the opportunity to drop down a gear and power through a corner or gun it in a tunnel to get that low engine growl resonating through the concrete? Is that something you're going to miss, or is that a thing that you're willing to give up for a little bit extra safety and a little bit of more time to yourself on vacation where you don't have to feel like you're actively working through it? Let us know in the comments how you feel. Give us a like. Subscribe if you haven't already. It really, really helps us out at the channel. Up on the screen, you're going to see a subscription to the GSM's Pride, a subscription to Lou Hughes Ford, and then a link to check out our last Bronco drive down with the Cora group in St. Louis, which was incredible. If you haven't checked that one out, check it out already. Again, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and we can't wait to see you till next week. Bye-bye.